You know, we've all heard the famous stories from the Bible, but what if I told you that hidden just beneath the surface, there's a kind of deliberate architecture, a whole series of intricate patterns and symmetries? So, we're going to go on a kind of treasure hunt to uncover these hidden designs, and what we find might just change how you see these ancient texts. I mean, what if the specific words, the locations, even the number of times something is repeated, what if none of that is random? What if they're all deliberate clues, carefully placed to tell a much deeper, more unified story? Well, that's exactly the question we're diving into. So, our investigation starts with a single, really powerful word. It's one that unlocks our very first pattern. It's a name you definitely know, but its literal meaning, well, that changes everything. Okay, our first clue is a place, Gethsemane. But here's the thing, this isn't just a name, it's a description. In the original Hebrew, Gethsemane literally means oil press. Just think about that for a second. An oil press is designed for one thing, crushing. And this is the very place where Jesus is described as being in agony, feeling this immense pressure of what's about to happen. So he's metaphorically crushed in a place that is literally named for that exact action. It's our first huge hint that the details of language and location are deeply intentional. Okay, so this idea of a significant place expands from just one word to our first major symmetrical pattern, and this one connects the very beginning of the Bible to its climax. So on one side, you've got Adam in the Garden of Eden. He's facing a test that involves a tree, and his choice leads to disobedience. Then, on the other side, you have Jesus in what the Gospel of John also calls a garden. He faces a test involving a different kind of tree, the cross, and his choice leads to obedience. It's this incredibly powerful theme of reversal. One act of disobedience is answered by an act of perfect obedience, all happening in a parallel setting. And this symmetry isn't just some clever literary trick. It actually points forward. The Greek word for paradise, which is used to describe the ultimate reward, can also be translated as garden. So you get this incredible sequence: the garden of failure, the garden of victory, and finally, the garden of eternal life. All right, so these patterns aren't just big, abstract theological puzzles. They can be intensely personal and emotional. Let's take a look at the story of the Apostle Peter in a detail so specific it's almost impossible that it's just a coincidence. We've got two huge moments in Peter's journey. First, in John chapter 18, you have the night of his greatest failure, where he denies he even knows Jesus. And then later, in John chapter 21, after the resurrection, you have this moment of incredible forgiveness and restoration. And the link between them? A fire. But here's the kicker. The text uses a very specific Greek phrase, a charcoal fire. And that exact phrase appears only twice in the entire Gospel of John. The first time is when Peter is warming himself right as he denies Jesus. The second is when the resurrected Jesus is cooking breakfast on the beach, just before he restores Peter. He deliberately recreates the scene of the failure, not to punish him, but to heal him. And the symmetry is just perfect. By a charcoal fire, Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And by another charcoal fire, Jesus asks him 3 times, "Do you love me?" He turns a memory of deep shame into one of profound grace. The pattern is absolutely complete. 3 denials met with 3 affirmations of love. What's really cool is how this type of pattern scales up, from one person's restoration to a strategic plan for an entire community. So Jesus gives Peter the keys of the kingdom. Now, obviously, that's symbolic, but if you look at the book of Acts, you see this clear pattern of Peter using these so-called keys to systematically unlock the community for new groups of people. The whole plan unfolds in 3 stages. In Acts chapter 2, Peter's big sermon opens the door for his fellow Jews. Then, in Acts 8, he's the one who is instrumental in bringing in the Samaritans, a group that was often seen as total outsiders. And finally, in Acts 10, he goes to the home of a Gentile, a non-Jew, and unlocks the kingdom for pretty much the rest of the world. It's a clear 3-step pattern of radical inclusion. So far, we've seen these patterns in words, in settings, and in a mission. So now, let's zoom all the way out to the biggest pattern of all, a cosmic reversal of what humanity values most. To really get this, we have to understand the ancient world's honor and shame culture. You had this really clear hierarchy, from the ruler at the very top to the expendables at the very bottom. And for everyone, the goal was to move this ladder, to gain status and make a name for yourselves. This upward ambition is absolutely key. And the ultimate story of this is, of course, the Tower of Babel. It's all about humanity uniting to achieve greatness on its own terms, literally trying to build their way up to heaven to seize honor for themselves. It is the absolute peak of human pride. And the cross is the exact polar opposite. It's the story of God coming down. Instead of seizing honor, Jesus willingly descends the social ladder, embracing the ultimate shame and humiliation of crucifixion, the fate of an expendable, all to connect with humanity. The direction of movement is a complete and total reversal. And this verse from Philippians just sums up the entire cosmic logic perfectly. Through ultimate humility, by going down, he is ultimately exalted. In this new value system, the way up is down. It flips the world's logic completely on its head. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's that words, like Gethsemane, have this deep symbolic meaning. That settings, like gardens and charcoal fires, are deliberately chosen backdrops for these profound dramas, and that these recurring patterns reveal a purpose, a story of obedience answering disobedience, restoration, healing failure, and a mission of ever-widening inclusion. And finally, the ultimate logic of this whole story is one of radical reversal. Look, this just scratches the surface. These symmetries are woven all throughout the biblical texts. And it really leaves us with a fascinating question. If these intricate, beautiful patterns are hiding in plain sight in some of the most famous stories ever told, what else are we missing?